Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and learn how to build a clone version of ChatGPT. Okay, so if you guys ever use ChatGPT, you probably go there and just type in a bunch of questions or anything that you want to ask the model, and then magically you get a bunch of responses back, right? That's basically how ChatGPT is. So we're going to go ahead and build a clone version of ChatGPT using libraries in Python, and this is absolutely so simple to do. Okay, so don't worry, we'll just cover all of this, and in the next 10 minutes you'll be able to build your own clone of ChatGPT. So if you don't believe me, just stick around for the next 10 minutes and let's see how that goes. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and use a bunch of libraries in here. You're going to be using Langchain and mainly Chainlit. So Chainlit, you're going to use Chainlit for the UI, and Langchain is going to help us to interface to interact with the OpenAI model. So basically, you're going to be using in this video, you're going to be using the GPT-3 model, which is what is the back end of ChatGPT. Okay, you're not going to go ahead and build our own model. Okay, that's ridiculous to do on your own. Okay, you don't have the resources to do that. So you're going to use the GPT-3 model, and I'm going to show you how to interact with GPT-3 model using Langchain. And if you don't know what Langchain is, well, I have a whole series on Langchain. Langchain actually fairly new, and a lot of changes are happening really fast. So if I'm also trying to keep up with the changes and make videos on the different stuff as they change. Okay, so you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out the playlist on Langchain so that you guys can stay updated on Langchain. Okay, so I'm going to be using Langchain in this video. Okay, so one of the things that you need to do is also need to have a GPT-3 account. Don't worry. First of all, let's just go ahead, create a virtual environment, install all the libraries, and then when you reach the point of uh, having an API key and all of that, we'll talk about that. Okay, so let's just go ahead. So I'm just going to go ahead in here. I just have a folder called ChatGPT clone. Okay, so instead of this folder, I have a simple file. I have a file called it's called basically .env. Okay, so this .env file that I'm going to use to store my secrets, like my API keys and other stuff that you don't want to expose in your code. Okay, so I'm going to store all of them in here. So that's all I have. A folder called, you can name any your folder anything you want, and then also make sure that you have a file in there called .env, and don't forget the full stop, right? Dot and then env. It must be there. Okay, so once you have that, if you go in here, I can open it up. Now, here is where basically we keep our open API keys and stuff like that. Okay, so we need to have an open API key. So to have an open API key, you can just go ahead and go online and just search for openai.com on Google. And once that pops up, just go ahead, click on the developer section, and then go into documentation. And once that opens up, you can go into API references, and in here you can see how to install OpenAI. And then if you want to create an API key, make sure you sign up, and then from there you go to your API keys. There'll be a drop down that shows your API keys, and simply copy that API key and then move it back in here, and then simply replace all these in here with your API key that you copy from OpenAI. Okay. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make sure that we have OpenAI installed. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. Well, we're going to be using Python, so this is for Python pip. If you're using npm node packet manager, you can use that, but basically for JavaScript. So in this case, we'll be using Python, so we're going to use pip install OpenAI. So let's go back in here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a virtual environment because I don't want to install this in my global Python environment. So to create a virtual environment in Python, you simply have to say Python 3 and then -m vnv and then VNV, just like that, and press enter. So once you have enter pressed right there, this will take a bit of time, and it's going to create a folder called VENV. So this is just a virtual environment, okay, virtual environment. And once that is created, we need to activate this virtual environment. And this command that I'm using right here might differ a bit on Windows. So Windows, I think, is just py and then -m VNV and then space VNV. Okay. Okay, so once we have that out of the way, I need to now go ahead and activate my virtual environment. And to activate my virtual environment, what I'm simply going to go ahead and do is simply say source. Let's like this. So source and then VNV /bin/activate. So press enter, and that's going to go ahead and activate my virtual environment. Okay. So once my virtual environment is activated, what I can simply do is just click the terminal and then simply paste in the command to install OpenAI library in Python and then press enter. Okay, so this is going to take a bit of time, and once we have it installed, we are good to go. So we have OpenAI installed. Okay, so now that's good. So now let's go ahead and see what else we need to install. So we also need to install Langchain, and this is the command to install Langchain. So just go to Python. Basically, just search Langchain online because this URL might change in the future. So if you're watching this in the future, this might change. So just search for uh or Langchain and then simply make sure just install this. So this so pip install and then Langchain and then simply copy that. So just go ahead and just go in here and just simply install it in here. Just press enter, pip install Langchain. So this might take a bit of time and to install that library. And once this is installed, we also need to install another library called Chainlit that we're going to use to build a UI. So Langchain help us to interact with the with the LLM models, basically the ChatGPT 3 model that you're going to be using in this video. And then you also need the OpenAI to have the API keys and stuff like that. And you also need to have this installed. And then finally, we also need to have large Chainlit, which is going to help us to build the UI interface, or the user interface. So we'll just go ahead and make sure you go to chainlit docs.chainlit.io and just simply go ahead and simply install it. This is a command to install it. Just copy it, and it's gonna take a bit of time to install. So just copy that and then go back in here and just paste it right here and press enter. So that's going to go ahead and install Chainlit for us, which is just Chainlit is very similar to Streamlit if you ever use Streamlit. So Chainlit is very similar to it, but the advantage of Chainlit is that it simplifies things a bit, and also is built specifically for building LLM applications, right? Is more tuned to that, so that more than Streamlit. Okay, so this is gonna take a bit of time, and once it's done, I'll just be back, and then you click okay. Okay, it's actually done. So I'm just gonna clear the terminal, and then we are done. So it's always good to make sure that you have a requirement.txt file with your project. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. So I'm going to say pip freeze, and then push it into a requirement.txt and then press enter. That's going to go ahead and create a requirement.txt file with all the requirements in there. So you can just say cut and then say requirement.txt. You can see all the versions, the different libraries and the versions that you have installed. Okay, so once we have that installed, we are good to go. And also make sure you have your API key and you have it pasted in here. Okay, so let me just go ahead and update in this part of the code with my API keys because I don't want you guys to see my API key. Okay, so let me just do that and I'll be back. Okay guys, so I'm back right here. I've just updated my env file with my actual open API key. I don't want you guys to have access to it, so I'm not going to show it to you. Okay, so once we have it in there, my open API key, I also forgot one library that we need to install, which is going to be decouple. That's going to help us to read values from this env file. So I'm just going to go ahead and just simply go in and just say pip install Python and then decouple. Okay, so Python decouple will help us to read our env file values from our env file. Okay, so once that's done, I'm just going to go back in here. I'm going to create a file. I'm going to call it app.py. So I'm going to create a file in here. I'm going to call it app.py and press enter. So once I have the app.py file created in here, I'm just going to go ahead and have a bunch of inputs. I'm going to go ahead and say from lang. Okay, let me get the spelling right. So from langchain, langchain, I'm going to go ahead and import OpenAI. Okay. I also want to go ahead and import prompt template right here, which is this right here. Yeah, that's basically what I need from there. And I'm also going to say from langchain.chains, I'm going to go ahead and import the following. So I'm going to import the LLM chain. Okay, so LLM chain, basically the LLM chain. So once I have that import, I'm also going to import from import chainlit. So we're going to import chainlit as CL. We're also going to go ahead and say from decouple, which is what you just installed. I'm going to go ahead and import config, just like that. Okay. So once I have that there, I'm going to go ahead and begin to build our application. So first thing we need to go ahead and do is firstly create a chain. Okay, a chain basically is just what is going to be interacting with our LLM application. So I'm not going to go into depth explain to what chains are. I have a whole tutorial on Langchain, so you guys can check that tutorial out. Okay, so I'm not going to go ahead and explain to you things in depth or from a basic beginner's point of view. If you want, you can check out the video on Langchain. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and say def. I'm going to call this one chain builder. Okay, this is a function, and this function is going to return to us an LLM chain. So it's going to return to us an LLM chain. Okay, so once we have that done, you're going to go ahead and begin to write the function. So basically is template, and then you go writing the template of that function. So basically you're just creating a bot, and you can give the bot basically any instruction. Okay, so I just create it right here. So I'm going to tell the bot that it's a helpful AI that knows all about cats. So I just say you are a helpful AI that knows all uh, all that knows all about, and you can go ahead and specify anything in here. So you can say it knows all about cars, cats, dogs, or anything like that. So we say all knows all about cars, right? So you can ask it different information about related to cars. Okay. So once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and pass in a question right here. So question, and you're going to go ahead and simply pass in the question, which can be question. Okay, if you don't understand all this, you can always check out my video on uh, Langchain. Okay, so the introduction to Langchain. So just like that, and that's all I need right here. Okay, so answer, and it's basically you're going to have the answer right there. So that's basically all I need. So the template. Okay, and once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and create a prompt template using this one. Say prompt. Uh, is going to be equals to prompt template. So basically prompt template dot from this, sorry, basically prompt template, and we're going to go ahead and pass in a couple of things to pass in. We're going to go ahead and pass in the template. The template is going to be the string that we just have here. So template right there. You're also going to go ahead and pass in the input variables, input underscore variables, and the input variables is going to be a list. Okay, so we're going to the input variable is going to be this one right here, which you have right here. So question, and we're going to copy that and paste it in here. Okay, so once I have that, that's all we need to do to create our prompt. So once we have our prompt, a prompt basically is what you send to the LLM, or basically what you send to the machine learning models to ask them a question or to instruct them to do something specific. Okay, so that's basically what a prompt is. So it's telling our AI model to behave like an AI that knows all about cars, and then the user has a question, and then the AI is going to go ahead and provide the answer to that question. That's basically what the prompt is. Again, if you are new to working with Langchain, kindly go ahead and check out my video on introduction to Langchain that will explain all this from a fundamental level. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create my LLM right here, and I'm going to say OpenAI, and you're going to go ahead and provide in a couple of things. I'm going to provide in temperature. So temperature is like the let me get the temperature. Okay, so temperature is gonna be like the randomness, like the entropy of how random the model should be. Okay, so once we have that, I'm going to go ahead and pass in the open AI, OpenAI underscore API underscore key, right? OpenAI is a key. It's going to be equals to, that's when you're going to use our config right here. So you're going to go ahead and simply say config, paste it right here, config, and you're going to go ahead and load in our environment variable. So we called it OpenAI underscore API underscore key, just like that. Okay, so whatever name that you use in the environment variable is what we use. I can show my environment variable at the moment because it has my API key that I don't want you guys to have access to. Okay, so once I have this done, I've created basically a simple LM and specifying the temperature as 0 0.6 and my open API key. So once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and create a chain, and the chain is going to be LLM chain. So LLM chain, so this one right here, you're going to go ahead and pass in our LLM. Sorry, this is going to be lowercase LLM is going to be equals to our LLM that we created. We're going to go ahead and pass in our prompt, and our prompt is going to be equals to the prompts that we have up there. Okay, good. So now that we have it done, okay, this is going to be chain, all lowercase. So chain. Okay, good. So that's all we need to have the LLM chain created. So now that we have the chain created, now we can simply go ahead and simply return the chain to the caller of this function. So return chain. So any caller that calls this function is going to expect an LLM chain, which is what you're going to return right here, right? You can see this is an object of LLM. You can go ahead and say LLM chain. That will still work, right? Okay. You can also go here and pass type hint. Okay, so you can pass type hint information if you want to, but basically that's basically it. And you can also go here and say prompt template and all that. So it's gonna be prompt template and all that. You can do all that if you want to. Yeah, that's basically it. So once we have all that in there, I'm just going to go ahead now write the UI of our application. Okay, so the UI is gonna be very simple to do. So we need basically just two functions for this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to create a synchronous function. And I'm going to say this function is going to be called start. And what this function is going to go ahead and do is return none. You're not going to return anything from this function. Okay. So in this function, you need to pass in a decorator. Okay. So for now, we just go ahead and say add and then CL, which is Chainlit. We imported that CL. That's what you're using right here. And you're going to say dot. You're going to say on chat start, basically on chat start. And then what this simply means is that this part of this function will be run every time that our chat we begin to chat with our model, right? Every time the program starts. So when you say message is going to be equals to cl dot message, and you're going to go ahead and pass in our content, and the content is going to be basically what you're saying, like this is gonna call every time it starts. So you're going to say loading, uh, please wait, right? So just anything the user sees whenever the application starts. So something can take a bit of time for the application to load. So just gonna tell the user to wait that it's loading. Okay. Okay, so once you have that, you're going to say await and then say msg.send. You're going to send this to the UI. So we have created a message right here, and now you're sending the message to the UI, which is the front end, right? Okay, so once we have it in there, we're going to go ahead and display. This is going to be displayed once upon successfully loading the page. We're going to also say msg.content. You're going to now update the content. You're going to say whenever the page loads, you're now going to update the content and simply say hello there, welcome to our ChatGPT clone. Let's say ChatGPT clone. Okay, so something very similar to like that. You can basically write anything that you want. Okay, so I'm going to say await and then simply update. So I'm going to say msg.update. Now you're going to update again the UI, basically the front end. Okay, so that's all we need to do. So whenever the user start the application, you're going to tell the user, yeah, we are loading. And once you're loaded, you're going to go ahead and simply say hello, welcome to our ChatGPT clone, and then simply update the UI with that message. Okay, so once we have that in there, I'm going to go ahead and simply get our chain that we created up here. So to get the chain, you're going to go ahead and simply call this function, right? It's called chain builder. So I'm going to go ahead and call the chain builder right here, and it's going to return to me an LLM, right? This right here. So I can just go ahead and say this is going to be of type LLM, basically type using type hints. Okay. Okay, because it's going to return to us a chain, and the chain is of type LLM. So this can also be of type LLM. Okay. Okay, so once we have that chain, you can do cls dot you can cl dot user. You can add in a user session, and you're going to go ahead and add in a chain. This is going to be like a key value pair, and you're going to put in the chain. So whenever in the application, you can access the chain using just this chain keyword. So we can use get session information to get the, and you pass in this key, and it's going to return to us this chain object, and we'll see that we'll see this just in the next function down here. So we are done with this function. Okay, so now let's go ahead and write the last function and begin to run our application. So the last function is going to be a sync function again. You're going to have dev, you're going to call it main. You're going to pass in message, which is going to be of type string, so str. You're going to go ahead and return, you're not going to return anything from in here. So what you're going to go ahead and do, you're going to say chain is equals to uh, chainlit dot get. I think its function is user dot, I think it's user session, yeah, user underscore session dot get. So user session dot get. Okay, I think I actually made a mistake here. It's user session dot set. Okay, and then you set that using basically the key and the value pair. So in here, you're going to say chainlit dot user session dot get, and you're going to go ahead and get, we want to get this right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this right here and simply paste it in here. Good. So once we have that done, we're going to go ahead and create a callback. So we're going to create a callback, and we're going to go ahead and use this callback, right? You're going to say chainlit dot asynchronous call a Langchain callback. So asynchronous Langchain callback handler, and then simply create an instance of that. Okay. So once we have that done, you're going to go ahead and say response. This rest, we're going to say await. This is chain dot a call. Basically, a call stands for asynchronous call. So you can use chain.call, which just calls it normally, because but for now you're using an asynchronous function. You can see all these asynchronous functions. So you're going to say a call, which basically means asynchronous call. Okay, and you say message, you're going to pass in my message. You're going to go ahead and pass in the callbacks. So callback, not callable. So callbacks, callbacks, and a callbacks gonna be a list of callbacks. In this case, you have only one callback, which is a callback, right? So right here. And one thing I forgot is we need to decorate this function. So we need to say like chainlit dot on message. So this is gonna be called every time there is a message, right? So that's it. And once we have that done, also simply going to go ahead and do is simply send a response back to the user, basically the front end. Which will be await. You're going to say chainlit dot message, right? And the message is going to be content. The content of the message is going to be equals to the response that you get back from the model. You're going to go ahead and say you're getting back the text part of it. And then finally, we pass in the outer of this. You can pass in the outer if you want. And the outer can be anything, basically the name of the bot, or you can say AI like that, or you can say just say the outer is code with Prince, right? Code with Prince, that will still work. Okay, so that's basically it for now. That we have once we have that this done, we can simply go ahead and run our application. Okay. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go back into our terminal and then run the application. So I'm just gonna go back in here and then simply go ahead and make sure that I can see the folder that I'm working with is app.py, right? So in the same directory as app.py. So to run, you can say chain lead, make sure virtual environment is activated. Okay, so chain lead and then space and then say run and then you say app dot py and then press enter. So now you can see it's going to take a bit of time and it's going to begin to run. So it's now running. So let me just go ahead and you can see it's loaded up right here. So let me just go ahead and open this in a different browser. So copy this and let me bring back this browser. Okay, so now we're going to go in here, create a new one, open a new tab and then press in and open that. So it's going to open up. You can see hello there, welcome to ChatGPT clone. So let me just say, uh, let me just say, what is a car? So let me just ask you what is a car because it knows all about cars. So that's a car. And it's going to go ahead and seek is using our LLM chain. It's going to take a bit of time, talk to the GPT model, and then simply return back. So we get back an error here, say object message can't be awaited, can be used in await. So let me just see and see, go ahead and see where we're getting the error. So let's just go over this one more time. So this is where the error is probably coming from. Okay, so let's go through it one more time and see where we have made a mistake. So basically, we have loaded our chain, and then finally we created a callback, which is basically async Langchain callback handler, and then finally we went ahead and say response is gonna be equals to await. Make sure this function is a synchronous function. Okay, so said await chain dot asynchronous call, right? A call, we pass in our message and we pass in the callbacks, which is gonna be a list of callbacks. Okay, so okay, so once we have that done, we went back down here and we say uh, chain lead dot message and we pass in the content of the message and be response dot text and then finally pass in the outer, and then I forgot to do one thing. We need to do dot send. Okay, so we have to say dot send right here. You say dot send and then call that. Okay, so that's basically it. So once we go ahead, let's make sure that we exit out this and then we run this again. Okay, so go back in here and let's go ahead and refresh that. So refresh this. Let's say me tell me about a car. Let me just get that right. So tell me about a car. So let me just zoom in so that you guys can see this a bit much better. So as I say, a car is a wheeled self-powered motor vehicle, vehicle blah blah blah, and you can see all that. And you can see that now the outer is called with prints, and this is what is specified in it. So you can specify the outer to be anything that you are interested in. Let me just make this so that you guys can see the whole code right here. So that's basically how you can do it. Work it. You can ask it basically any question that you want. So let me just say, um, what do I know about cars that I would what don't I know about cars that I would love to know? So let me just see. Uh, it's okay. Let's ask it if a petrol car is better than a diesel car. So is a petrol car better than a diesel? Diesel. I hope that's the spelling of diesel. Okay, diesel, just like that. Okay. Let's see what it responds. The response to get back. Yeah, it depends on your needs and preferences. Petrol cars tend have a lower fuel cost, blah blah blah. And you can see all that information right there. So, guys, that's basically how you can simply build a Chat GPT clone. Basically, you can also have we also have this right. You can also go to setting, you can go into dark mode, light mode, and all that. So you can see dark mode, light mode, and you can see all the steps it takes to come up with the answer, right? So using an LLM chain, so you can see the LLM chain is being used right here, and you can see all that information. So yeah, I prefer dark mode. Okay, I just don't know. You have other options right here you can play around with, but that's basically it. Okay, and you can also start a new chat and you can say confirm, and that's going to go ahead and start a new chat right here. So you can see we have all that functionality there. So that's basically it, and how you can build a simple ChatGPT clone using Python. So you can see this is absolutely simple to do, right? So just few lines of code and we have basically a ChatGPT clone. So this is basically the LLM part. We create the LLM using LLM chain, and then finally the on start, and then finally what to do in case we get any message in our application. You get a message, calls the chain that we have, and then does all that. You can see all that information right there. So this is absolutely simple to do. In fact, ridiculously simple, right? So if you guys want to, like, you can also use your own LLMs. Like, you can download the Llama 2 LLM and then simply use it inside of here, and that will still work. So if you guys are interested in working with your own LLMs like Llama 2, let me know in the comment section below. I can make a video on that. You can also make a video about where you can actually talk with chat with your data, basically read a PDF file and then basically answer questions from that PDF file. Okay, you can also do that. And if you guys are interested in all these projects about LLMs, let me know in the comment section below. I will do my best to get back to you guys. So guys, thanks for watching. And if you guys haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please kindly consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, liking this video and sharing this content with anyone who you think might find it helpful. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next one. Keep safe.